It begins with a sound, a lie, and a silence. The sound is the phantom breath of a child I never had, an intimate echo in a body the world has declared vacant. The lie is the neat clinical story written in medical charts and sympathetic glances, a story that erases my own memory. And the silence is what's left after you strip all that away, a pressurized, waiting silence in the hollow space inside me, a space that is starting to feel less like an absence and more like a room waiting for an occupant. My name is Eleanor Vance. By trade, I am a librarian at one of the Toronto Reference Library's quieter branches. My life is a carefully curated collection of quiet moments, of categorized histories, the gentle rustle of turning pages, and the sacred scent of aging paper. I am, by all accounts, a simple, logical woman who believes in evidence, in primary sources, in the quiet authority of fact. Which is why the things happening to me, the things that defy all logic, are so utterly terrifying. It started 6 months ago, a subtle trespass on the stillness of my life. A faint, rhythmic sound in the dead of night, so quiet I dismissed it as the old house settling, the winter wind whispering through the eaves of my Cabbagetown semi. A sound you could explain away, but it refused to be explained. It grew, night by night, blossoming from a whisper into the unmistakable, wet, intimate breathing of a sleeping child. The sound was not in the room. It was coming from inside my own chest. Dr. Roberts, a man whose kindness felt like a polished weapon, sat across from me in his sterile office, the scent of antiseptic and old leather hanging in the air. My file, a thin collection of papers that allegedly contained the truth of me, was open between us. "Eleanor," he said, his voice the gentle hammer he used to nail down a diagnosis. "We've run every test, twice. Your respiratory system is clear, your vitals are perfect. The records are unequivocal. You were never pregnant." His words were me. His words were meant to be an anchor to reality, but they set me adrift in the cold sea of my own memory. I remember the joy, the impossible second blue line appearing on a plastic stick, a fragile promise I held in my trembling hand. I remember telling David, my then husband, how his face broke open into a galaxy of hope, all the weariness of our years together vanishing in an instant. I remember the first soft flutter of movement, a secret conversation between my body and a life that was not yet my own, felt one afternoon while I was reading in the armchair that now sits empty in my living room. It all ended in a hospital room. A blur of bright lights, hushed apologies, and a grief so vast and silent it felt like a physical weight pressing down on my lungs. A late-term miscarriage, they said. A tragedy. Now, 2 years later, Dr. Roberts was telling me that grief was a fantasy, that the baby I mourned, the life I felt, had been nothing more than a fiction my mind had written to cope with. What? A phantom pregnancy? A hysterical delusion? The world agreed with him. When I called David, I could hear the newness of his life in the background, the chime of a doorbell, the distant laugh of his new wife. He pleaded with me, his voice strained with the terrible burden of having to manage the crazy woman he used to love. "Ellie, you have to let it go. It was a hard time for us. Your mind, it built things up." He said it with such pained conviction that, for a moment, I almost believed him. I saw myself through his eyes, the sad, lonely librarian, 41 years old, retreating into a world of delusion, a ghost haunting the quiet aisles of her own life. But then I would lie in bed, the cities hum a distant lullaby, and the breathing would begin. Soon, it was more than a sound. It became a physical presence, a subtle alien weight shifting inside my ribcage when I turned onto my side, a density that did not belong to me. Then came the fluttering, a frantic, erupting sensation just below my sternum, a tiny, impossibly fast heartbeat thrumming against my own. It felt like holding a trapped bird in my hands, except the bird was inside me, beating its wings against my bones. My doctors called it anxiety-induced palpitations. I knew it wasn't my anxiety. It felt like someone else's fear. On my mantelpiece sits a snow globe, a cheap souvenir from Niagara Falls, encased in glass and stillness. Sometimes, when the house is utterly quiet and the breathing inside me is loud and clear, I think I can see the water stir. A trick of the light, a symptom of a mind under siege, but I can't stop looking. It feels connected, somehow, a mirror to the storm inside me. The dreams started last month. Not mine. Dreams of frost, of birch trees, of Russian dogs barking through frozen air. I run as a child. I feel frostbite. I understand Russian. I never learned. I see a woman, Anya, with eyes full of love and loss. Not my loss, but I feel it as if it is. My body is becoming a foreign country. Some mornings, I cough up clear fluid, not spit, not right. The lab says it's saliva. It feels like lungs weeping. I tried to record the sound, a tape, a whisper to a cassette. Please let someone else hear it. Playback was only silence, just my own breathing and desperation. The silence on that tape was the sound of madness. My life as a librarian taught me that everything leaves a trace, a record, an artifact. If my memory was a lie, I would find the truth of theirs. I called David again, forcing a calm I didn't feel, the practiced neutrality of a reference librarian. David, think back. That time in the hospital, was there anyone else? A specialist, maybe? He sighed, a sound heavy with pity. "Ellie, please don't do this." "Just think," I pressed. "An older man, maybe, not one of the regulars." He was quiet for a long time. I heard him light a cigarette. "I don't know, Ellie," he said, his voice strained. "There was some other doctor, older guy. He wasn't with the hospital, I don't think. Albright, Dr. Albright. He was overseeing some kind of research study they were doing. That's all I remember." The name was a key to a door I never knew existed, a door at the back of my own history. My library became my sanctuary and my headquarters. I wasn't hunting books anymore. I was hunting a ghost. Hours passed at the microfilm machine, the motor whirring, green light flickering across my face. Week after week, reel after reel, until I found him, Dr. Arthur Albright, a pariah, a genius turned exile, a geneticist whose papers on consciousness retention in cellular memory were condemned as pseudoscience. His private lab, the Ethelred Institute, had once partnered with my hospital in the 1980s. Then, in 1987, a fire. Official reports called it an accident, but the fire burned too clean and too many files vanished. The breathing inside me is changing. It's becoming a voice. Last night, while staring into the swirling snow globe, I heard it. Not a sound, a thought, planted like a frost-covered seed in my mind. Kolodno, cold. It was telling me what I already knew. We are both so very, very cold. A week later, I saw one of them on the subway, evening rush. I held the pole, swaying with the car, and suddenly the air dropped 10 degrees, a freezing presence. At the far end of the car sat a boy, maybe 10 years old, unnaturally pale, short black hair, wearing a simple institutional tunic. Still, too still. He was holding something in his lap, a snow globe, identical to mine. He raised his head. His eyes met mine, eyes far too old for his face, ancient, knowing. He gave a slow, deliberate nod, and then the lights flickered as we reached Bloor Young. I blinked, and he was gone. No one else had seen him. I asked the woman next to me, my voice barely above a whisper, "Where did the boy go?" She looked at me with quiet pity. "You were sitting alone." After that, I started losing time. Small gaps at first. A book I didn't remember shelving. A page I didn't remember turning. Then notes appeared in my own handwriting. Anya's eyes. The vessel is leaking. But I didn't write them. Then the first blackout. I went to bed Tuesday night. I remember the sheets, the breathing in my chest. I woke up. Thursday. A full day vanished. My voicemail was full. The library, David, the police. A Sergeant Miller wanted to talk about. A public disturbance. Someone had seen me on Wednesday at a protest downtown, screaming in Russian for hours. I don't speak Russian. I tried to ground myself. Tea, blankets, normalcy. But the snow globe on the mantel, it moved, spinning, fast, silent, the flakes blurring in a white hurricane. I didn't touch it, and I knew then, this echo inside me, it was learning to breathe on its own. The mirror in the hallway changed. My reflection looked back. but not as me. My part was wrong. The scar on my chin, gone. My expression, smiling. I wasn't smiling. I fled. No keys, no purse. I ran to the library, locked myself in the archives. Cold floor, stacks of forgotten lives. I opened my laptop. A document was already waiting. Subject 5. Acclimation phase complete. A log of my blackout days. Times, locations, surveillance notes. Subject observed at protest. Russian vocalizations recorded. Coffee purchased. Black, no cream, not usual. Subject observed outside David Vance residence. Photographed wife and child. There were pictures of Leo, of Sarah, taken by someone using my body. Below that, Subject 1, the Colonel, activated. Subject 3, the artist, responding. Subject 4, the architect, missing. No mention of Eleanor, just a number, Subject 5. And beneath that, one final blinking line. Broadcast window opens. 7 days. 7 days until what? I didn't know, but the cold, clinical certainty of that sentence terrified me more than anything that had come before. This wasn't chaos. This was a procedure, an agenda, and my body, my life, was the operating table. Day 1, I came home from the library and barricaded the front door, dragged the heavy oak bookshelf across the hardwood, its legs groaning in protest. It wasn't rational, but it was something, an action, a protest against my own invasion. I taped blackout curtains over every window, plunging the house into a permanent twilight. The sun became an enemy. The eyes of strangers on the street felt like threats. I pushed the couch against my bedroom door, building a flimsy fortress where I could pretend I was safe. But I left one thing untouched. The hallway mirror. She was always there. Mirror Eleanor. Her expression never wavered. While I grew pale with fear and exhaustion, she smiled. Calm, confident. She knew the countdown had begun. Day 2. A new symptom. A dull ache behind my sternum. Pressure. A feeling of being full, crowded. My own heart fluttered like a trapped bird. But beneath it was another, slower, steadier, older, not mine. I tried to trace it, pressed fingers against ribs, throat, chest, but it was nested deep inside, behind the lungs, like an anchor dropped by something unseen. When I breathe, I feel it move. When I'm still, I feel it wait. Day 3. The sound came in the afternoon. A child's laugh, high, joyful, but in this silent, sealed house, it was the most terrifying thing I've ever heard. I don't have children. My neighbors don't either. It wasn't outside. It was inside, with me. Day 4. I haven't slept. Can't. The dreams are memories now. Snow, birch trees, a name. Anya. A gunshot sound from the living room. I dropped my mug. The snow globe exploded, glass everywhere. But untouched in the center, a folded note, host integrity failing, phase 2 ready, awaiting broadcast. Day 5. I needed proof. I found an old camcorder in the library's lost and found. Vintage, heavy, but functional. I set it up across from the mirror, pressed record. For hours, nothing, just my reflection. But at 3:17 a.m., she moved. Mirror Eleanor looked directly into the lens, mouthed one word, over and over. Soon, soon, soon. Day 6, she's closer. The mirror isn't just showing her anymore. It's broadcasting her. The lights flicker when I pass. Her smile is wider, predatory. She tracks me now. I smeared soot across the mirror, tried to cover her up. It didn't work. Her smile stayed. Clear, clean, untouched. Not a reflection, a projection. At 4:04 a.m., my laptop powered on. A new line on the log, external containment breached. Day 7. Itch ever. I am hollow, burned out, detached. When I speak, my voice echoes. A half-second delay, hollow, distant. The second heartbeat pounds in my teeth. And now there's laughter inside my skull. This morning, I watched the mirror. She raised her hand, and the glass rippled. She stepped through. No scream, no sound, just silence. She stood before me, identical, but wrong. She smiled. She touched my shoulder, a jolt of cold and knowledge. The lab, Albright, Morozov's death, the others. The real reason for the broadcast, it wasn't preservation. It was replacement. I was never her. She was never just a reflection. We were two halves of the same key, separated at my miscarriage, designed to be reunited. A new voice emerges, layered, dual-toned with Eleanor's, and a deeper, colder voice. I was just the cocoon, the grief, the humanity. She was the purpose. But Dr. Albright made a mistake. He didn't take my life. He stole my death. And in doing so, he gave me something else, something new. A compound, not a vessel, not a replacement. The broadcast window is open. The other 6 are waking. Someone has to greet them. My name is Eleanor Vance, and my work is just beginning.